Gaza in ruins as Israel withdraws troops. We discuss the latest in Operation Protective Edge and the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. From Melbourne, you're watching The World from Below. I'm Lizzie O'Shea. A ceasefire has been reached between Israel and Hamas this week, with negotiations continuing in Cairo. Over the weekend, Israel began a unilateral partial pullback from Gaza, ordering tanks, infantry and combat engineers back across the border. To date, the Israeli attack has cost over 1,900 Palestinian lives, 75% of them civilians, according to United Nations estimates. The UN also warns medical facilities are on the verge of collapse, as almost half of the medics are unable to get to work. To date, nearly a quarter of Gaza's 1.8 million residents have been displaced by the fighting, which has destroyed or severely damaged more than 10,000 homes. Over 270,000 people are currently crammed into 90 UN shelters. Closer to home, veteran Fairfax columnist Mike Carlton has resigned after being admonished by his editors for his response to abusive readers of his column on the conflict in Gaza. The fate of 157 Sri Lankan Tamil asylum seekers who were detained for a month on the high seas remains uncertain. Last Friday, it was revealed the asylum seekers had been brought to the Coco Islands and then to mainland Australia. They were subsequently sent to Nauru without the knowledge of their lawyer. The asylum seekers are the subject of an ongoing case in the High Court that will rule on the legality of the government's actions. Meanwhile, the government continues to come under fire for its treatment of children in immigration detention. Giving evidence to the Australian Human Rights Commission inquiry last week, psychiatrist Peter Young said the International Health and Medical Services were asked by the Department of Immigration and Border Protection to withdraw figures relating to mental illness rates amongst asylum seekers.
We sort of reacted with alarm and have asked us to withdraw these figures from our reporting.
I beg your pardon?
They asked us to withdraw the figures from our reporting.
Who asked you to withdraw the figures from your reporting?
I'm not sure exactly. It comes from the department.
Dr Young went on to criticise the poor standard of care provided to asylum seekers and the department's obsession with secrecy. He described the system as designed to create a negative mental state and to produce suffering, labelling it as akin to torture. The government has also announced plans to impose a data retention scheme that would require internet service providers to retain customer metadata for 2 years. The proposal has been met with criticism by civil liberties groups and tech companies. The latter say they will have to pass the cost on to consumers. The scheme is part of a new package of proposed national security laws designed to boost the powers of intelligence agencies and criminalise whistleblowing. At the same press conference at which the proposal was revealed, the government announced a backdown on controversial plans to weaken the Racial Discrimination Act. Australia's courts have come under international scrutiny for their record of issuing suppression orders preventing reporting on legal proceedings in the media. Journalists have argued that the use of injunction orders threatens the open justice system. The criticism has been spurred by relevant publications on the WikiLeaks website. Because of the injunction, we can't tell you much more about it, unfortunately, something we're very concerned about. WikiLeaks editor-in-chief Julian Assange labelled the incident as the worst in living memory, accusing the government of not just gagging the Australian press, but blindfolding the public. And those are the stories we've been following this week at The World from Below. When we return, we have special guests from the Jewish and Palestinian communities to discuss the situation in Gaza, coming up after the break.